This is Wildway Triple Eight coming back to you after not being here for some time. Um, I know a lot of the things I talk about are political, and they've all played out in the past 2 years that I've been interested in talking about certain things. But when I did come back in January of this year, I started watching the Jaguar Wright Chronicles. Now, in the beginning, um, when I first came on YouTube, I think one of my first or a few of my videos in, I started talking about Jaguar, how I was a fan, how I believed her when she was talking about the roots. When she started talking about writing a book, I was all for that. I thought that that would be like something that could propel her back into some sort of stardom, I guess. Um, She told a compelling story about one of the defunct members of the Roots, and I felt for her because, as a lot of us have seen watching her story was compelling because we all know someone in our family who's been through something like that, right? Um, but later on into the 2020 year, I did not believe her story, or even then, after a few months, it got old. It got boring as hell because then I saw that she was just a bully. She wanted to tell people to pull up on her, and she's waiting for somebody to come fight her, and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, okay, she's a 40-something-year-old woman. It's different if somebody come up on you, but when you go looking for a fight, then I'm really not with that. Now, if somebody come up to you with hands drawn, that's different. But way back in 2020, she was looking for smoke. And I said, okay, she's just a train wreck. And I said back then, if I don't hear anything about this book, if I don't see where you started your own YouTube channel, um, I'm not interested. Now, she did start her own YouTube channel just this year, actually the past few months, because her worldwide sympathy tour backfired on her. Now, initially when she first came out, she was with her husband, Gerald, that everyone calls Goomba. And when she first started talking about Holly Weird, she would be in her car, and she got some notoriety with a content creator, and was able to sit down on her couch, this content creator, and tell her story. Now, um, at the time, she was not introducing the world to her husband. Okay. I thought that was kind of strange, but then when she finally did reveal who he was, the moment I looked at him, I could tell he was a op. Okay. He was not giving the energy of a loving husband. His eyes were shifty, and not just because they're chinky and small. It was just his look, especially when they were in the car with the dog. It was like every time she panned the video over to him, he's smoking his cigarette looking perturbed, for a lack of a better word, looking really uninterested and irked, just all around irked. A couple times I caught him rolling his eyes. And I'm like, who the fuck is this clown ass nigga she got riding with her in the passenger seat shotgun? Like, He look like he don't even like her, much less love her, and that's supposed to be her what? She introduced him as her husband, child. I'm paying down to the comments, and a lot of people were saying the same thing. Like, yo, dude, don't look like he interested. Yo, he look irked. Like, he look mad. Like, what y'all had an argument before you jumped on live or what? Because when she started all this nonsense, she was on Instagram. Okay, she was doing Instagram live. And then I guess over time, based off of the things she was saying, her Instagram got struck. And especially with she had a beef with the original content creator that she had initially started this worldwide tour on, and she disappeared in 2021. So, everybody's like, oh, where's Jaguar? What happened to Jaguar? Boom, bang, boom. Then she comes back, I think at the end of 2022, and now she's got more people in her corner. Okay, boom. Everybody knows what happened in January. Um, by this time, you could tell that her and her husband were not doing well, despite, the appearances of doing so. Both of their energies were off towards one another. You could just tell they weren't seeing eye to eye. Now, in between January and now, she's been locked up in uh, mental institutions and one stay in the county jail. All of this time, she's been downgrading, disparaging people um, in her city. So she segued from talking about Hollywood to thinking that that same energy could be transferred to the people around her. And she found out the hard way. Okay, now when you're talking about people that we can't touch, it's all fun and games. It's all shits and giggles. It's a key. But when you start referencing to people in your immediate circle, and by immediate circle that could be your neighborhood, your family, okay? That's your immediate circle. And she started going off the rails. Well, we know that her last stay in the mental institution, she was diagnosed as having PTSD and, in her words, a touch of bipolarism, which, as one content creator says, what are they measuring mental illness with measuring cups now? Because there's no such thing as a touch of bipolarism. I really think it's something quite more serious than that, such as schizophrenia, manic depressive disorder, and multiple personality disorders, because she's been described lithium, which is one of the strongest psychotropic drugs that you can get. And that's for people who are more on the spectrum of schizophrenia and multiple personality disorders. So she doesn't take her meds because she feels as though she doesn't need it. The doctors don't know what they're talking about. And with this last episode, because that's what I call it, it's a series. She thinks she's filming her life reality show. Um, Season 1, episode 155,000. She reveals that she is now disengaging herself from her husband because of some of the things that he's done at her behest. Let's get that clear. A lot of the things that her husband did was by design. It was a part of the script. Okay. He went off script and he left her for his old girlfriend. Okay, then, of course, as we all know, her mania kicks in and she starts stalking him. She starts uh, just doing all kind of wild things on YouTube. By this time, as I mentioned, she has her own channel and she starts taunting her husband and the girl he left her for about some type of sex tape that nobody wants to see. Jaguar, I don't know if you've looked at yourself in a full length mirror, baby, but you are not built like the plastic Kim Kardashian. Okay, you're not built like Megan Thee Stallion. Hell, you're not even built like Janet Jackson. She's in her 50s. Okay? Um, you're built like SpongeBob, the Michelin Man, and you're bald headed. Listen, I'ma just keep it a bean. You're bald headed, honey. So where she's coming across as if she's some type of sex symbol is beyond me. Um, as we all know, she taunted her husband and his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, to release the sex tape because in her mind, she says it on her own channel, they're going to make her Kim Kardashian famous. Now, I can't imagine how, unless it's going to be a comedy on Pornhub where she would think that she would become famous off of this sex tape because, as I mentioned, her body shape is unappealing and her husband has titties and a gut, a beer guts. Okay, so I mean, I understand there's a category for everything on Pornhub, but I can't imagine anyone getting wet off of either one of their body types. So, with that being said, she has certain content creators who she goes to drop her so-called exclusive rants, and because they get the views, these content creators, and also they get cash apps from their subscribers to further the shenanigans. She thinks that she's made a come up. See, what it is that she didn't make it in Hollywood because she is weird. And that's the real reason why she's angry. Um, she's not angry really at her husband. She's not really angry at the ex-girlfriend that he's jumping back and forth between the Holiday Inn and her home with. She's not really angry with the police in her neighborhood. She's not angry with the barber shop that her husband frequents. She's angry with herself. She's upset that um she didn't make it. Not only is she a has been, was been, never was been, she's a one hit wonder. Okay, Jaguar, at this point, because you lie so much, I'm kind of on the fence now with if that's your real voice. Like, are you a studio singer? Like, let me find out that you're just like Alicia Keys. Remember when we all thought Alicia Keys could sing? And then come to find out she's a studio singer? So, um, I had to wait for the ice cream truck to move along. It's quite annoying. But, it wouldn't surprise me, not one bit if you were like enhancing your voice. Now, I liken you to Alicia Keys because it's almost like, people want to blame her for, want to blame Swiss Beats, her having kids. The fact of the matter is, Alicia Keys gaslighted us into thinking that she was an artist because she could play the piano. Her tapping on those keys should not have taken away from her voice. But she just needs to be a pianist because the girl can't sing. And it seemed like we all realized that once her scandal hit, but she could never sing. She just had, good beats and a great team around her. You know, it, not saying you're on that level in regards to, I take that back. You're not a studio singer, but you have lost your voice. And therein lies the issue. You lost your voice. Your vibrato is all over the place. When you call yourself doing your little live with Jaguar, what do you call it? Jaguarioke. You can only sing maybe 2 minutes of any song of an artist who you're singing along with on the radio, and you end up sounding like a background singer. Now, listen, there's nothing wrong with being a background singer, but I noticed that you cannot keep in tune for longer than, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. So then it became quite clear to me that what your husband said about why you went missing in 2021 was correct. He said, as you well know, that you lost your voice and you became depressed and would not leave the bed for months on end. And I believe, Jackie, that that's what really happened. You have ruined your voice with drugs and cigarettes and booze. And now you're mad at everybody, even your own husband. What I don't understand is he was your biggest flunky. Girl, Gerald was your biggest fan. And you've lost even that. Um, Another thing I noticed is that you've been going on these this worldwide Save Jaguar hashtag Where's Goomba tour. You frequented content creators pages whom you don't like. Okay? The subscribers don't like you, and they let that be known in the comment section. And even on these content creators pages who you do go to, who are allegedly quote unquote your friends, girl, with friends like those, why in the hell do you need enemies? Because, honey, they shade you all in the comment section. And even on your own page, do you read your comments on all of those nonsensical videos that you post that you don't look back on? Nobody likes you, Joe. None of your comments are favorable towards you. You may have one or two sprinkled in comments. Oh, Jaguar, we're praying for you. But 99.9% of your comments are trash. Trashing you. Trashing your life. Trashing your choices. And it's a little too late to tell people to mind their business when you putting everything out on the internet for likes, cash apps, shits, and giggles. When you found out that those content creators were getting cash apps off of your name and you weren't getting a breakdown, why all of a sudden you get mad when you did a whole 6-month tour with them talking about, oh, I'm getting paid, I'm getting paid. And then your husband comes out and says, we ain't getting no goddamn money. I was on one of your favorite content creators pages and he was begging for cash apps for you and all he could muster up from the audience was $5. Remember how you got mad and dropped down? And everybody was calling you stupid because all of those followers you got, you still haven't monetized your page. I mean, listen, they seen you coming. Like you thought you was smarter than the average sixth grader, and you gonna come up there talking about, yeah, I'm starting my own page. I'm gonna get this money for myself, and you still haven't monetized your page. You got 22,000 haters on your page. My God, I'd rather have 70 subscribers that fuck with me, maybe 4 or 5 of them is haters, than not. Listen, listen, Linda. The YouTube streets don't like you, girl. I seen you on one of my favorite content creators pages. Oh, you came up there and called his subscribers that were on the live panel idiots and bitches. You got mad because you talking about I just want to talk to him alone. Well, he's nothing without his subscribers, and what I didn't like is he allowed his subscribers to be talked down to by you, and he placated you, and he broke out his little violin to make you feel like you was somebody. But then I saw you today on another content creators page, and his panel gave you the fucking business. You couldn't deal with it, could you? Keyboard warring. What they go? You was a keyboard warring. No. Somebody, if you see me, I got my shotgun. I'm gonna punch y'all bitches in the mouth. You know what's going to happen, Jag? I got the perfect segue to the end of season 1 for you. Season 1, and as the Jaguar turns, okay, peep this. Just imagine it as you're sitting in your car at the edge of the river. You know, your Jeep where you live because you're homeless. Just listen. Okay. Okay, the season is going to open with you at the VFW bar stalking Goomba. Right? You're going to be shouting maniacally, like you always do, about fucking somebody up. Mhm. And then all of a sudden, it gets dark and you wake up in the hospital. Okay? The doctor comes in and he says, Jacqueline, do you know where you are? And you're going to be screaming, need to go in. And they're going to say, Jacqueline, do you know where you are? And you're going to be screaming, what these, why have these towels on my arm? My feet shackled to the bed. And once again, the doctor's going to say, do you know where you are? And you're going to calm down for a second. And the camera is going to pan right to your face. DeMille style. You know how they be like, I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. That's going to be you. Camera, everything's going to get dark. It's just going to be a circle, like circa 1930 style. And just this bright spotlight on your face is going to get closer and closer. And you're going to say, hospital? And they're going to say, like the Twilight Zone. They're going to hand you a mirror. It's going to say, you're going to look at your face. And it's going to be unrecognizable. You're going to be bandaged from feet to the top of your nappy ass bald head. And you're going to try to start screaming. But You notice when you thought you were screaming before, when you were screaming, "Where's my phone?" But literally, it's going to be in your head. Like it's in your head. It's not something that you actually said, because in this episode you can't speak. Why? Because your whole entire body, namely your mouth, has been totally disfigured. You have no tongue. You realize, oh my God, I can't. So all of these voices and shouting and shit is going off in your head, but you can't really relay it. And you realize, oh my God, I'm talking to myself in my head. You no longer have a tongue to speak. And of course, at this point, and you realize you can't talk back to anybody, you fall back on your pillow in the hospital. And the doctor says to you, Jacqueline, do you know where you are? And he's going to say, blink your eyes once for yes and twice for no. So, of course, at that point, everything else is broken up except for your brain, right? So, of course, you can reason. So, you're going to blink your eyes once, yes, right. And he's going to say, Jacqueline, do you know how long you've been here? You're going to blink your eyes twice for no. And then he's going to say, Jacqueline, I want to let you know we did all that we could. And I know you don't understand this, that it may take some time for you to process this. But you've been here for the past 10 years. It's now the year 2032. Were we in 23? It's now the year 2033. And I've been in a coma for the past 10 years. And your mouth's going to get real big. The camera's going to pan back all the way back to the door. And it's going to be nothing but all you see is a blank white room. The doctor's gone. It's like he just disappeared in the thin air. And it's just going to be all these floor to ceiling windows with bars on them. You would kill him with that, girl. Listen, I can write. I can write a script for you. Now, it may just turn out to be true, but I see the ending of this saga of them panning back and the bars on the windows, and oh, it's an all-white room that's padded with styrofoam, and your eyes are wide, right? Susan Lucci wide, and all my children, and you're just screaming, screaming, screaming. It's all in your head. See how this gonna end, Jackie? It's gonna be all in your head. Now, you can think of what would happen in season 2. Okay? Season 2, you're going to be going through rehabilitation in a wheelchair because you're no longer able to walk. Um, Fingers are mangled because they've been crushed. Um, let's see. How would you be able to get in touch with Gerald? And by this time, YouTube is non-existent. There's no Instagram. Oh, let's say the world ended. The world ended as we know it, like Walking Dead. But it's not that bad. Like, there's no social media whatsoever. You're going through rehabilitation. There's no social media whatsoever. Um, Can't write anymore. You don't have a tongue because it's been cut out. And as you're sitting in the garden of the sanitarium, you start having wild flashbacks. Because remember, you were in a coma for 10 years, so you don't really know what happened. Like, oh, there's a nurse. You know how you like to get chummy with the nurses at the mental institution? Well, there's a nurse there who takes a liking to you. And um, they have playback of YouTube. Okay? Because here's what's going to happen. The government has taken over um, the internet. It's sort of like the Soviet Union. So we could only watch what they want us to watch. But there are some people, like, Anonymous or whatever, they still have access to the old screenshots of content creators and the way YouTube used to be, the way social media used to be. And this nurse, she's like one of those um, people, okay? In the future. She's one of those people from the past. Let's say, oh, she was one of your favorite content creators, but now she's a nurse, right? And she comes up to you, and by this time, even though you don't have a tongue, um, there is a way of you to communicate with your eyes. Um, like they've implanted some type of chip in your brain, and a chip for the internet, just for people like you who can't speak, but they want to communicate. So it's like all of your thoughts are now transplanted to these bubbles over your head, like in the cartoons. And you communicate to this nurse who used to be a content creator. I need my phone. And she lets you know, um, in this future life, civilians are not allowed to have phones. And you're like, I keep getting these flashbacks. What happens? What happened? Do you know what happened to me? And she's going to say, well, you heard about what happened to you. Let's look. And it's going to be like, um, the internet is going to be like, um, on this crystal ball feature. And it's like, she's going to wave her hand over it and go back to the past. And it's going to show you and all of the things you said about people and all of the threats that you issued out into the universe. It's going to show you at the VFW bar stalking your husband who no longer wants to be with you, sitting in that Jeep where you live, showing you erratically, maniacally threatening random strangers in the comments section under certain content creators' forums. Now, in one particular scene, it's a close up of you on a live telling subscribers that you have a pow pow and you're about that life and you're tactically trained in 5 different forms of martial arts. Um, and what you would do to each one of these panelists if you ever saw them. And then all of a sudden, it shows your Jeep being surrounded by various types of people, black, white, Chinese, Mexican, and they all got some form of weapon in their hand, and they converge upon your Jeep and start beating the bejesus out your ass. And then the crystal ball goes black. And you lean back in your wheelchair because, at that point in the episode, you're leaning as far forward as you can because your back is broken. You're on this kind of like, how the paraplegics, they have this board behind their back that allows them to kind of sit up on their own, even though they have no feeling in their body. Like for the nurse, you sitting forward was an accomplishment because you couldn't move before. But just seeing that, those images of what happened to you 10 years ago caused some type of movement in your body, right? And at first the nurse thought it was going to make you pass out or die or whatever. But she's like, see what you did. You moved forward. You haven't been able to do that in 10 years. Okay. And from seeing the past, even though it brings nightmares, it spurs you on in your uh, physical rehabilitation process, right? And you're able to now wiggle your pinky toe. And the scene ends. Season 2, episode 1. See where I went there with that, Jaguar? Now, this could be your real life. Don't steal my idea, bitch. Don't steal my ideas, bitch. Because, see, we know how you like to jump from panel to panel, and even small content creators like myself to get ideas for your next season. Okay? What I notice is that you like to talk about organizations, like you have a deep working relationship with them. Okay, you talked about the Black Panthers being a part of this. I heard you mention the Hebrew Israelites. I'm wondering when you'll bring in the Muslims from the mosque, um, the Jews from the synagogue, and the monks from Asia. When are they going to make an appearance in the season? It's asking for a friend, girl. Because at this point, you batshit crazy, and fuck it, if you want to get monetized, you need to step it up a notch. And you see what the Real Housewives do, and all these other so-called made-for-TV scripted reality shows. They stepping up a notch. They start fighting each other. They start revealing secrets that everybody already knew. But for you, because this is your real life, you gonna have to either, I hate to say it, get almost deleted to revive your career. Now, if you're not going to take your meds, the least you could do is give us a real show. It's the least you could do. And before anybody says, oh, that damn, you got a vivid imagination, wow, way, that's crazy. Why would you say that about her? Well, she's mentioned the fact that she wants people's children to be sexually assaulted. She's mentioned that she got pow pows and she got grenades and she about the business. He's mentioned all these other things. I mean, when she can say it, it's okay. But when I say it, because I'm unknown, it's wrong. Anyway, I'm just trying to get a bitch a better storyline. And one thing I want you to do, Jaguar, is I want you to work on your dry heave cry. Now, what would Erica Kane do? Is what you need to ask yourself. All right? What would Diane Carroll do? Hell, what would Diana Ross do? And that's an acting bitch right there. I just want you to get your acting skills up, girl. Shit. Okay. Had to take a moment to deal with one of my dogs. But it gave me an idea since I'm thinking of what I do. Okay. Now, during this time period, um, you could reintroduce King, your dog. You know, the one you said your husband deleted and threw in the trash can? And then months later, you recanted and said that you gave him to these Mexicans that live on a farm in Florida. Right. So we're going to reintroduce King. Yeah, I know it's 10 years later, but look, this is the storyline. All right. King, the nurse is going to bring King to your room. Right? You're feeling sad and depressed and lonely. Um, you realized, um, okay, this is episode 2. You realized after all this time that no one's ever come to visit you. Um, you asked the nurse to do some reconnaissance for you and check out Gerald. He's been remarried 10 years ago with 20 kids. My God. Remember, you thought he couldn't have kids, and all of a sudden he pop up with like 15 sets of triplets. Shit. His ex has now that bitch married to the Princess Zamunda. Okay, everybody's doing good, but it's King that has been brought to your hospital room that gives you the courage to fight on. I got the scripts for your ass. Listen, if you're not going to take your meds, at least let it work for you. Okay? Hmm. I already know how controversial topics work on YouTube. Um, I barely have any followers, so it's fine with me. I'm going to I may disable the comments on this one. Just because I don't want her crazy ass followers to come over here. And even though I'm a small channel, it doesn't even matter. Her diehards are just as crazy as her. My God, I was on one of her one of these content creators' pages who is allegedly her friend, and his open panel, everybody that got up there were like batshit crazy. Like, there were people that were actually in the mental institution talking to him on the live, people who were institutionalized for mental instabilities on the live. I said, goddamn, everybody in this on this panel is crazy. So those are her supporters. So I don't want them over here on my channel. Well, I may just leave the comments open. I don't know. But Jaguar, I'm on to you, baby. And so is everybody else. Like, it's a wrap. You're going to be going live again. Probably in the next 40 minutes. You haven't slept in, I don't know, 230 days. I guess that crack keeps you up all hours of the night, sitting by the river, across the street from Erica Badu's home, hoping that you'll bump into her. I don't know. Maybe you're going to ask her if you could do a duet or something. I don't know. It's not going to work out, boo. It's not going to work out, but be safe sleeping by the river at night, darling. Be safe. You know all the shit you be saying about people, right? But that's right. You got the pow pows and the grenades, and you got all the smoke, and you're trained in every tactical move there is in karate. So I mean, shit, you might be all right. You might be all right. Anyway, this is your medical moment from Wild Way Triple Eight.